What's happening, everybody? Welcome in. Happy Saturday. We have fantasy playoff football tomorrow. Talking shop ahead of week 15. Whatever you guys need, I will, as always, the latest injury updates, and then can take your questions. We'll start with the news that just broke about an hour ago. Which is that Christian McCaffrey, coming out of the 49ers bye week, is being listed as questionable, downgraded today on the injury report as questionable with what I believe was back tightness. Let's see. This dropped about an hour ago. Yeah, with a back injury. Okay. So just real quick on that front. Obviously, if McCaffrey starts, you're playing him. This could be one of a couple of different things that the 49ers are doing with McCaffrey. One, this could be smoke and mirrors. He's fine, especially coming out of the bye week. And in a game where the 49ers should handle their business at home, perhaps McCaffrey, perhaps his ceiling as far as touches is not necessarily there tomorrow, and maybe that's what this is. It could be real. It would be a little difficult to believe coming out of the 49ers bye week, but this could be more than just a smokescreen. So obviously, if Brian Robinson is out there, check waivers. He should have already been on the roster of anybody who has Christian McCaffrey. You should already have Brian Robinson rostered. But if on the off chance you didn't and he's available, get him on your bench by any means necessary. If he's still out there, he's worth grabbing in the event that this is a real injury. It's possible that it's not. The 49ers have been operating somewhat, sneakily with the injury report and how they're able to utilize it over the past couple of years, and they did this with McCaffrey just last year, so it's possible that this is just a nothing burger, but we don't know. We do not know. So if Brian Robinson is available, grab him. He should have already been rostered if you have McCaffrey. Obviously, we'll keep an eye on things. It's anybody's guess, again, whether this is legitimate or not, whether the injury is legitimate or not. If McCaffrey is active tomorrow, he's in your starting lineup. But if for whatever reason this is a real thing, make double, triple, quadruple check that Brian Robinson is not on waivers. Okay, that was the big update as of an hour ago. Again, this might be nothing. It could be nothing. We'll see. Okay, to the other injuries that we know about, or potentially players who were on the injury report but are no longer, as we go into the Week 15 slate. Devontae Adams missed practice Wednesday and Thursday, but is expected to play Week 15. That's great news. You are firing him up. Tyrone Tracy off the injury report after picking up a hip injury Week 13, had the bye week to heal. He will go against Washington. Him and Singletary are both solid flex plays. Kenny Pickett will start for the Raiders against the Eagles. Tough spot, tough matchup. You are not relying on Kenny Pickett in any format, not even Superflex formats. Probably not even in the random league where you can start three quarterbacks. Riley Leonard is off the injury report, but it'll be Phillip Rivers who is starting for Indianapolis tomorrow against the Seattle Seahawks. We have no choice but to downgrade the entire Indianapolis offense. Phillip Rivers is 44 years old and has not played a game of football in 5 years, going up against one of the better defenses in the NFL. You probably have to start Jonathan Taylor because it's a playoff game, but I feel for those who rode Taylor to the playoffs but didn't get a bye week. Hopefully Taylor did it. Hopefully if you have Taylor, you have the bye week. But this is about as brutal a situation as it gets if you do have Taylor and are playing this week. You have to keep him in your starting lineup, but we got to lower expectations significantly. Tough spot. And then I don't want to play any of the wide receivers. Michael Pittman has had a good season. Alec Pierce has emerged. I don't want to play either one of them. Tyler Warren has got off to a great start this season and has flashed big time. I don't want to play any of them. And I know that's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people who are relying on guys, especially Warren at tight end, Pittman as probably a wide receiver 2 or 3, depending on your lineup, your receivers. I don't want to play these guys tomorrow. It is too volatile of a situation. I would be looking for alternates down multiple tiers, compared to when we would normally be talking about Pittman versus other options. I want to turn to damn near anybody else, almost anybody else. It's too difficult a situation to trust. Taylor's the only guy I'm starting for the Colts, and I don't feel very good about that. Let's see. Breece Hall's off the injury report. That's great. Good luck against the Jacksonville Jaguars and with Brady Cook starting. Nick Chubb is questionable, but Woody Marks is off the injury report. I would expect Woody in a great matchup against Arizona to get the bulk of opportunities. He's a top option at running back this week. I know he's been difficult to trust some weeks, like a lower-end flex play. This is not one of those times. Woody Marks, stock up specifically for this week. Great matchup at home against the Arizona Cardinals, a bad Cardinals team, and Chubb has been missing practice this week, banged up, questionable going into the game, and has not really been doing much with the few opportunities he's been getting anyway. I quite like Woody Marks this week. Get him into your lineup. Jake Ferguson's on the injury report, but is expected to play barring a setback. Potentially keep another option available to you in the event that he cannot go. Josh Jacobs is questionable for Week 15. You have to play him if he goes, but it's a brutal matchup against the Denver Broncos, about as bad as it gets. Jacobs is a workhorse. He is an RB1 on the season. He has earned the right for you to start him no matter what. But like Jonathan Taylor, it's a bad situation. At least Jacobs has his quarterback. At least he has Jordan Love. But it is a bad matchup. That being said, it's win or go home. You have to play Josh Jacobs. The Bears are optimistic Rome Odunze will play. He is an impossible person to trust right now. The numbers haven't been there for Odunze, and now he's battling this foot injury. It's a stress fracture. There's a decent chance he probably shouldn't even be playing in this game. I would be looking for other alternate options to Rome Odunze. I do not want to play him this week. Devon Achane expected to play. No surprise there. The vibes have been optimistic all week. Emmanuel Wilson. I missed this one. This is annoying. He's downgraded to questionable with an illness. Generally, those are the optimistic, questionable designations. If it's an illness, a player often plays through that, and obviously, hopefully it's just a stomach bug, and he's got 24 hours to get right, get healthy, and he'll be okay. We're going to need Emmanuel Wilson if Josh Jacobs is less than 100%. You don't start him unless Jacobs is ruled out. Okay, McCaffrey expected to be good to go for this week, but all the same, especially if you have McCaffrey, hopefully you also have Brian Robinson. let's see. Quentin Johnston, questionable. Hopefully you're not relying on him at this point. Alvin Kamara ruled out. It'll be another week of Devin Neal. The Saints have the Panthers at home this week. That's not a bad matchup for Devin Neal. And David Njoku ruled out. Harold Fannin is a top 6 or 7 tight end play on the week. Well, maybe top 7 or 8 now after Kyle Pitts stamped himself as the overall tight end 1 on Thursday Night Football with that insane performance. Anybody who played Kyle Pitts, I mean, you got to be doing backflips right now. What a performance. Well, whatever happens with Kyle Pitts from here on out, I'll just quickly say, hopefully you have him, and if on the off chance in shallow leagues, 10-team leagues, where Pitts is still available, empty the clip. Whatever fob you have left, he could be the tight end of the playoffs. He's not going to have 110 catch, 153 touchdown performances again, but Drake London is probably not going to return this year. Yes, the Falcons got a nice win on Thursday night, but they are still out of the playoffs. They are mathematically eliminated. Pitts could be in line for massive usage as long as he stays healthy, assuming they don't bring Drake London back this year. Okay, let's get into your questions. If you have been here before, welcome back. Appreciate the support. If you are here for the first time, welcome in. Members will get first priority in responses to their questions and comments. That is a perk of being a member of the channel. You can find more details about becoming a member in the first link in the description of this live stream. If you are sending a super, if you're feeling generous enough this holiday season to send a super, that would also be a way to jump the line and get your question responded to faster. I may give you more as far as my thought process, analysis, if I feel like it warrants it, your question, as a member or a paying customer, if you send a super. Again, that's just the perks. If you are not a member and you do not send a super, I will still get to your question, but I do ask for some patience as I work through the members and supers. Regardless of whether you are a member, if you are enjoying the conversation, if you could just like the stream, that helps me out for algorithm purposes. Appreciate that in advance. Let's get into it. I see Bobby here. What's going on, Bobby? And congrats on making the playoffs for the first time. That's exciting. Okay, we need to start the lineup. 2 backs and a flex. Okay. You're playing Jacobs if he plays. You're playing Javonte. I think you're playing Dowdle as your flex. And I think you're playing Rice and Tet McMillan as your wide receivers because it's impossible to trust Justin Jefferson right now. It's impossible to trust the entire Vikings offense. So I can't believe this is where we're at. This is the point that we're at, and in the fantasy playoffs of all places, to bench a guy of Justin Jefferson's caliber seems insane. Feels crazy. But at this point, I think you have to do it. I don't think you can rely on him. I don't think you can trust him. It's a great matchup. It's an incredible matchup. But how can you trust him right now after recent performances? I can't play Justin Jefferson right now. It's that, and it has nothing to do with him. It has everything to do with the quarterback play and the offense in general. We can't trust him right now. Therefore, we can't play him at the most critical time. That's crazy, but that's the reality. Jacobs, Javonte, Dowdle. If Jacobs can't play, then Javonte, Dowdle, and Hampton in your flex. And then I would just plan to play Rice and Tet as the only 2 wide receivers that I trust among those options. Yeah, I don't want to play. You have good options, Bobby. If Jacobs can't play, I would prefer to play Hampton over Emmanuel Wilson. Brutal matchup against Denver. No, I'm not playing any Colts wide receiver. I'm not playing Pittman. I'm not playing Pierce. I'm definitely not playing Josh Downs, but I'm not playing Pittman or Pierce. There's no way. Not in this situation. It's too volatile. Phillip Rivers has not played a football game in 5 years. He's 44 years old. He's playing his first game in 5 years. The Colts are absolutely desperate at quarterback. No, I'm not. I'm not starting an Indy wide receiver tomorrow. Uh-uh. And I think Bobby's the only member I see in here right now, so we can go right back to the top right now. Let's see. You don't have to start a tight end, but you're deciding between Fannin, Debo, Chuba, and Devin Neal. Fannon's in a great spot tomorrow with no David Njoku. Debo's also in a good spot against the Giants. Chuba, his role is yet to be determined. It could still be a full-blown committee with Rico, but it is a good matchup against New Orleans. And then on the other side in that game, Devin Neal against the Panthers. That's a good matchup, and no Alvin Kamara. The safe play is Devin Neal, and that might be where I go. I do like Fannin tomorrow. But I do prefer playing a running back or a wide receiver to a tight end. I think I would go Devin Neal there. He's going to play most of the snaps, get most of the opportunities out of the running back, out of the backfield with no Kamara, and it's a solid matchup. I think that's and he's at home. It's a home game for Devin Neal. I think that's where I would go. As far as your quarterbacks. Bryce Young against New Orleans, Shuck against Carolina. Panthers have a decent secondary. Or McCarthy, no. And then Mariota. Mariota, he's the most streamable of this group. He'll run. It's a good matchup against the Giants. He's put up solid numbers this year in relief of Jaden Daniels. He won't have Zach Ertz. He's done for the season. We'll get to see what Ben Sinnott can do. He still has Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel, and again, he will scramble. I think Devin Neal and Marcus Mariota are my answers to that question. Yeah, pick again. It's good. Yeah, nicely done picking up guys like Brian Robinson, Emmanuel Wilson. Grab those if they are still out there. If you're in here, you're either in the fantasy playoffs or your playoffs start next week and you have a chance to get in. I mean, grab those running back handcuffs, whoever they are. They are the most valuable pieces on the waiver wire right now, especially if you have the starting running back. If you have Christian McCaffrey, Brian Robinson should have been on your bench 2 weeks ago. If you have Josh Jacobs, Emmanuel Wilson should be on your bench, et cetera, et cetera. You get the idea. Let's see. Purdy versus the Titans or Trevor Lawrence versus the Jets. I think I saw a tweet earlier this week that the Titans have allowed like 8 straight QB1 performances. And Purdy is coming out of his bye week. At home against Tennessee, I think that's where you got to go. Trevor Lawrence might not need to do all that much this week. Like, yes, it's a great matchup, but they're playing a broken Jets team. They may be able to just run the ball a lot this week. I guess you could say the same thing for Purdy, but I'll take the structure of the 49ers and the weapons that he has at his disposal, Purdy. Yes, McCaffrey's on the injury report, but as of right now, the expectation is that he will play. So, the situation and the weapons that Purdy has, that gives me the edge for Purdy over a guy like Trevor Lawrence. Like, yes, it's a good matchup for the 49ers, but at least Cam Ward is the reigning number 1 overall pick and has showed respectable play at times. Brady Cook is the third stringer on a Jets team that doesn't have a quarterback. Like, that's about as damning, as it gets. I think the chances are higher that Lawrence doesn't have to do as much as opposed to Purdy. So therefore, I think Purdy has a better chance to have to do more. So I want to play Purdy. What's going on, Sport Dog? Good to see you. I see everybody's questions, but I got to jump down to the member questions. That is a perk of being a member of the channel. Warren, Neal, Marks, Rodriguez. I'm going to stop right there. The answer is Woody Marks, Sport Dog. He's in a great spot tomorrow. Truly, like, elite smash spot for Woody Marks. He is playing the Arizona Cardinals. Outstanding matchup. He is at home. He is off the injury report. Nick Chubb is on the injury report and has missed practice time this week. And is getting a diminishing role anyway and not really doing much with it. This is a spot that I feel much better about Woody Marks than most weeks. He is a stock up. He's more than a flex play this week. He's an RB2 with more upside than that. Give me Woody over Warren, over Neal, over Rodriguez, over all those other guys. Woody Marks. And if it's start 2, then Marks and Jalen Warren. But if it's start 1, Woody Marks. Yep. Woody Marks is in a great spot this week. I want Woody Marks in my lineup. If you have him, depending on your other options, I would fire him up. Genty, Henderson, Ladd, and Sutton. You have to pick one of these guys. I mean, it has to be Genty. It's not a great matchup against the Eagles. What is Jalen Carter's status for tomorrow? I actually don't know. Jalen Carter's been ruled out. He's ruled out. Okay. So it's a softer matchup for Genty than it would be if Carter were in there. I mean, it's a brutal matchup on the road against Philly regardless. But Genty's the bell cow. He's the guy that you drafted high. It's playoff time. Like, these other guys are volatile. Henderson, I love Travion Henderson, and it's a good matchup. But with Ramondre back, it's a split committee. We saw that happen in Week 13. They're probably going to keep doing that as long as Ramondre is healthy. I like Henderson. He's the better player. He's the more talented player, but the odds are Genty's going to get more work. Genty's going to get more opportunities. I like Henderson, but I think it has to be Genty. If it's start 2, then I would play the running backs. Hopefully it's a start 2. But if it's a start 1, I think you have to go Genty. And then defensive recommendation. Oh, thoughts with Jacobs. If you have Jacobs, you have to wait on him. I guess if it's Jacobs, you have to wait on him. Let me know who your other options are, actually. Let me know who your other options are. But if Jacobs plays, then he might have to be the guy. As far as defensive recommendations for next week, yeah, I mean, if it's Brady Cook once again for the Jets, then my first thought is the New Orleans Saints for Week 16. That's a defense that I want to target. That's a defense that I want to pick up if I have an opportunity to. If I have a bye week, I want to drop somebody and pick up New Orleans. I like the Lions next week. They're at home. They've played well at home this year. They didn't have a great game on Thanksgiving, but other than that, they've been really strong at home this year. They'll get a Pittsburgh offense that is just okay coming off of a short week on Monday night, and it's a home game for the Lions, if I didn't already mention that. That's a good spot for the Lions defense. I was liking the Bucs, but after Thursday night, I don't like them as much. They are playing Carolina, but they look like they're falling apart. And the Falcons they were without Drake London. That was a bad spot for Tampa, so maybe not them. San Francisco, if they're still available, probably not because they've got a great matchup this week, but they also have another one next week when they get to play Phillip Rivers and the Indianapolis Colts. Now, the Colts have gone from an offense that you want to target, you want to get their players, to targeting with opposing defenses. It has flip-flopped quickly for them. So the 49ers are a good play next week. Those are just some options. And then whoever the Titans play. The Chiefs, that's a good one. Kansas City, if they're available. Yeah, those are some good Week 16 options if they're available to you. And really quick, Bobby, the Jaguars are the top defense this week, and I'll just say that for everybody. If you have the Jacksonville Jaguars, you should play them. They're playing the New York Jets. Brady Cook is the starting quarterback. That's it. That's it. Maybe he'll be okay, but I would expect a third-string quarterback making his first career start, right? It's his first career start. I don't think I'm wrong in saying that. Yep. Yep. Undrafted rookie, was behind Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor, who both brought nothing to the table. I would play Jacksonville. I would play Jacksonville this week, and then I would probably play Kansas City next week against the Titans. But let's get there. Let's get there first. We got to win our matchups first. And if you didn't have Kyle Pitts, then your matchup still hangs in the balance. I'm just taking a look at a couple of things. No other injury updates at this time. Okay. Yeah, if you have the Jaguars defense, play them this week. Play them this week, and we'll get to next week. If we'll worry about next week's defense next week. If you have the Chiefs, you have a good option. Let's just play Jacksonville this week and keep it moving. Sport Dog, Brian Robinson. You could probably just drop one of those quarterbacks, to be honest. And I know it's crazy to drop one of those names, but you could just drop one of them. Actually, maybe don't. I forget. You're in a shallow league. Maybe just leave it as is, Sport Dog. Maybe just don't do anything. I think you're fine as is. I don't want to drop any of those running backs. Let's see. Warren might be all right, but honestly, I would bench him. I would bench him for. There's a lot of different players I would probably play over Tyler Warren right now. I would play Jawan Johnson over him. I would play Hunter Henry over him. I would play Brenton Strange over him. I would play. I would probably play Dalton Schultz. I would play Theo Johnson. I would play a lot of guys. I would play either Ravens tight end over Tyler Warren, Mark Andrews, and Isaiah Likely. I would play both of those guys over Tyler Warren. They play the Bengals. The Bengals give up 1 million points per week to opposing tight ends, give or take a few. I would not play Tyler Warren this week. I wouldn't play Michael Pittman. I would not play Alec Pierce. I don't trust it. It's a good matchup by the numbers, but yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Is Warren? I don't want to. Okay, I don't want to drop Tyler Warren. I'm not there yet. Um, but that being said, I do like Waller as a Week 16 play. Um, would I play Warren over Gesicki this week? It's not unfair actually, just because with you know with T Higgins being out, that's actually not bad. I don't want to drop Warren, but if you are dead set on playing Gesicki this week, which is fine with me, and Darren Waller next week against the Bengals, which is a beautiful matchup and it's a home game for Miami. The only problem I have with that is if your opponent could use a tight end and picks up Warren and ends up using him against you. I don't want to drop him yet, but if there is a defense like the Saints out there and you're trying to grab him, you also have to be confident that you feel good about getting a win, of course. I don't know if I want to drop Warren yet. It's not a bad thought, but I don't know if I'm ready to do that yet. RB2, Woody Walker game. Woody. I think Woody is an awesome play this week. At home against Arizona, great matchup. Off the injury report, always a good sign. Nick Chubb is on the injury report, missed practice this week, multiple days. Hasn't been contributing very much of anything recently. Woody is as strong a play at running back this week as there is. I would play Woody over Walker. I would play Woody over Gainwell. I would play Woody over Tracy. Yeah. Yep. Give me Woody Marks. And how did my teams do? I can talk about that with the playoffs on the horizon. I had a good year this year. 6 leagues, 5 of them made the playoffs. 2 of them I got bye weeks. The one league that I didn't make the playoffs in was a dynasty rebuild from the beginning of the season, and I knew right away that wasn't going to be a competitive team. That turned out to be the case. But that's okay because that was intentional. I never expected to make playoffs there. In fact, I knew, given the state of my team as I'm retooling and setting up for future years, that it wasn't going to make the playoffs. But the other 5 did, including my other dynasty league. I made the playoffs, so that was exciting. Yeah, it was a good season. I feel good about my chances. Especially with the bye weeks, with 2 of them. I had Kyle Pitts go one in one other league tonight that I'm playing in, so I feel good about that matchup just like that. So I'm feeling strong about my options, like about my chances. Feeling good about them. We'll see what happens. Yeah, Bobby, I have put to a vote multiple times in the leagues that I commission. Well, in Dynasty, I don't play kickers. In my Dynasty leagues, I don't play kickers. I don't play defenses. It's both are super flex leagues, so there's a quarterback spot and a super flex spot, 2 backs, 3 receivers, a tight end, and 2 non-super flex spots. No kickers, no defenses. But in my other leagues where I do have kickers still, I've put it to a vote multiple times to get rid of kickers, and every time it fails. So I'm definitely team anti-kicker. I don't like having them in starting lineups. I would prefer that be another flex spot. But I have so far failed to convince the majority of my league mates to get on board with that thought process. But that's okay. Start Goddard, Parkinson, or Waller, and happy holidays to you too. All 3 of these guys are tough to trust. It's going to be bad weather in Philly. and the Eagles' passing attack has not been good. Parkinson gets the Lions. That should be a competitive game. And then Waller gets the Steelers. It's a tough matchup for just because it's going to be super cold. And Tua doesn't do well in the cold weather. I know the Dolphins won last week and it was like 40 degrees. And Tua got a win. But this is different. This is a better team in the Steelers. At least they're better than the Jets. And it's going to be, temperatures are going to be below 20 degrees. So I kind of just worry about Tua. That being said, Waller has the best matchup. Waller. I think Waller has the most upside there. Goddard's tough to trust. The Eagles' offense hasn't been good. Parkinson is that's kind of a dart throw for me. Parkinson would be more interesting if Devontae Adams doesn't play tomorrow, but it sounds like Adams is expected to play. I'll take Waller. I know the cold weather makes me nervous for Tua, but the Dolphins are probably not going to win this game, so they will be throwing. So maybe Tua gets the ball out really quick to Waller in cold weather, checks it down a ton so he doesn't get hit. He doesn't take that hit in the cold that he definitely doesn't want to take. So maybe Waller gets a lot of volume. I'll take Waller on Monday night. How am I feeling about Wilson? Is that Emmanuel Wilson? Or Michael Wilson. Michael Wilson. Sorry. I assume Michael Wilson. We don't care respectfully about Emmanuel Wilson just yet until Jacobs is out. I assume we're talking about Michael Wilson here. How do I feel about him? You have to play him. You have to start him, and maybe that's not the most positive note that you're looking for. The fact of the matter is it's about as bad as a matchup as it gets. Houston kills opposing wide receivers, and what I mean by that is Houston is a brutal matchup for opposing wide receivers. They don't do much against the Texans week to week this year. But Michael Wilson without Marvin Harrison this year has been, the second coming of the best receiver in football. You have to play him. At the very least, I would expect that Arizona does not win this game. Therefore, they are trailing. Therefore, they are throwing, and Wilson can maybe come through on some volume. I'm not expecting a ceiling game. I'm not expecting a top 5 performance like he has in the other games he's played without Marvin Harrison. But I do think his floor is safe enough where he's one of the 20 best options on the week, just based on what we've seen him do without Marvin Harrison, and Marv is out once again. We gotta play him. We gotta play him. It's a bad spot, but I mean, I don't need to tell you what his numbers have been like in recent weeks. I'm not putting that on the bench just because of the matchup. I can't. He's been too good. Okay, your question was just a pick one. You have Judkins going against the Bears. Sure, that's fine. And if you feel comfortable with your squad and your situation, then I would probably play Genty, because at the very least, he will get volume. He should be a decent floor play that elevates your floor in a matchup that you said to yourself you feel comfortable with. If you feel like you've got enough advantageous spots, like better players than your opponent top to bottom, then I would play Genty and take the guaranteed role, the guaranteed workhorse role, the guaranteed workload. It's still a tough matchup, but at least the Eagles don't have Jalen Carter. And if it's going to be if it's windy, which is it's expected, like could be 15-mile-per-hour winds, then they probably will run the ball a little bit more to keep things simple, plus with the backup quarterback with Kenny Pickett in there. So I'll take the floor of Genty among your options. Bobby, you're overthinking this. Again, it's like I get it. It's a bad matchup, but Trey McBride is a top 2 tight end in football. It's him and Bowers. And Kittle. You could throw Kittle in there too. Those are the top 3 tight ends in the NFL. You start them no matter what. In a win or go home matchup, in a playoff game, you sink or swim with your best players, your studs. Trey McBride is one of your best players. I don't care if he's playing the Monstars in Space Jam. You play Trey McBride. You have to. You have to. I do like that likely matchup for Cincinnati. Against Cincinnati, I think he will do well, but it's Trey freaking McBride. You cannot bench him. Plus, the Cardinals are probably going to throw the ball 55 times tomorrow anyway. So the volume will be there. I get that the Houston defense is intimidating. You have to play your best players. You have to play your best players. Yeah. I get it. It's the fantasy playoffs. We're all right now. You know that, you know the scene in Endgame where Doctor Strange is like looking into his millions of multiverses and the 14 million different scenarios about the Avengers beating Thanos or whatever. Like, I know that's all of us right now. Like, we're all like thinking about all different scenarios and what makes the most sense because it's win or go home and we want to win in the playoffs. I get it. I was doing the same thing on Thursday when I was trying to decide between Mark Andrews and Kyle Pitts, and I played Kyle Pitts. One, because I was like, all right, London's out, I'm going for it. And then Mark Andrews was added to the injury report. Like, even though it sounded like it was optimistic, I was like, yep, that's enough for me to just play Pitts, not worry about it. That worked out, so I get it. Like, you think about all these different millions of scenarios. Play your best players. Play your best players. Yep. Do you have to start one of those running backs? I hope not. For whatever it's worth, if you do, I would probably start Chuba just because it's a good matchup against the Saints. But yes, roll with Michael Wilson. You have to. You have to. And Bobby, you're welcome. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for re-upping as a member. Appreciate you coming in and hanging out throughout the year. Hopefully we get a win tomorrow. Hopefully everybody gets a playoff win tomorrow, and we are back next week talking shop ahead of the fantasy semifinals. Running backs and flex are Harvey, Kyron, and Travion. I'll tell you right now what you do. You take Justin Jefferson out of your lineup and you play Michael Wilson. And I can't believe that that's a sentence that I am saying in the year 2025. But I am taking, if your option is to either take out one of those running backs or play Justin Jefferson, I mean, I don't know that I can. I mean, it's a good matchup against Dallas. I will say that. But it was a good matchup last week, and he didn't do anything. It has been a lost season for Justin Jefferson. I will say this. You have to get Michael Wilson into your lineup. You have to get Michael Wilson into your lineup. If you want to play Justin Jefferson, If you want to play both of those wide receivers, play both of those wide receivers, or if you want to play both of those wide receivers, I guess I would take out Travion. Not that I want to. I think I'm taking Jefferson out of my lineup. I know it's a great matchup against Dallas, and Justin Jefferson is a superstar, but this has been the worst season of his career because of everything else going on around him. The quarterback play has been awful. It just hasn't been there at all this year, and it has submarined Justin Jefferson's value and production. If you want to play Justin Jefferson, and I won't try to convince you any further what not to do because I get how important Jefferson or how good Jefferson is, I guess I would take Henderson out just because he's splitting work with Ramondre. I don't really want to do that. Kyron's splitting work with Blake Corum. But I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in that game tomorrow, so I do want to play Kyron. It's either Jefferson or Henderson. And if you insist on playing Jefferson, which is fine, that would be your decision, then I would take Henderson out because Michael Wilson has to be in your lineup. What's going on, Crumply Heads? I would have to take. I'll take a look. I'll take a look at the lineup. I'll take another look. I gotta pull up Discord. In the meantime, Sport Dog, I would wait one more since if you've held Drake London this long, then wait until. If you advance, if you win this week, if Drake London does not practice on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, or maybe even you could even wait like till this Thursday, then you can drop him. But if you've held him this long, then I might as well wait. Because you're not going to be anybody who's on the wire at this point, you're probably not starting over the guys that you already have. So I don't think you need to worry about dropping London at this time. If he starts missing practice next week, then yes, we can drop London. Yeah. Yeah, I'll be honest. If you play Justin Jefferson, good luck. That is of your own accord. That will be your call. This is where we're at. I cannot advocate starting Justin Jefferson. I get it. He was your first round pick. He's been incredible. He was on a Hall of Fame has been on a Hall of Fame trajectory through the start of his career. I don't think that has changed just because of one down season, but that's how bad this season has been. Again, through no fault of his own. The quarterback play has been abysmal. If you start him, that is your choice, and I respect that. But right now, it's impossible to advocate for him. Let's see. Judy, Theo. Okay, so I see two questions here from you. Judy, Theo, likely Adunze, and then right underneath JMO or Michael Wilson. Is this two different leagues? If it's the same lineup, then I would say definitely play JMO and Michael Wilson. If it's a different league, I mean, I love JMO, but I don't know how you go away from Michael Wilson right now. I guess it's a better matchup for JMO. I'll start with this one. Judy against the Bears. Okay. Theo against Washington. I like that. Likely against Cincinnati. I really like that. Adunze with a bad foot injury against the Browns. I hate that. I think I'm playing your two tight ends. What a crazy world we live in, where in week 15 of the first week of the fantasy playoffs, I'm advocating for two tight ends over two wide receivers. But here we are. I would probably play Theo Johnson and Isaiah Likely. Likely gets the Bengals. Best matchup you could ask for this year if you're a tight end, by far. He had 95 yards receiving against them on Thanksgiving. I think it's fair to expect another very good game for Isaiah Likely. And then Theo Johnson's just in a good matchup. He's in a good matchup against Washington. Judy is just, I know he has had some decent weeks recently. It's just tough to trust him week over week. The Browns' offense is still very much a work in progress, and Shedeur has looked a lot better than Dylan Gabriel. But, there's still going to be growing pains, and Judy's season has not gone, anywhere close to what last year was like. So I'll take the tight ends. I'll take Theo Johnson, and I'll take Isaiah Likely. As far as J-Mo or Michael Wilson, if you can only play one, I guess I'll take the more I'll take J-Mo. It should be a more competitive game. The Lions are a better team than the Cardinals, so I'll take what feels like the safer situation, I guess, but I would love to find a way to play both of those guys. I would rather play both than, say, Justin Jefferson. But if you can only play one, I guess I'll play J-Mo. Jacoby Myers or Cortland Sutton. Myers is in a great spot. Sutton is in a spot where it should be a more competitive game. But Myers has emerged as the team's top receiver. They're playing pretty well on offense. The Broncos have struggled on offense. It's a good matchup for Myers. I think the vibes are better with Myers right now. Sutton had a solid output last week. I just don't trust Bo Nix as much right now. And the Packers have a good defense. I would say Myers. Let's see. You're between Olave and Jalen Waddle. Probably Olave. Again, it's for me. It comes down to Tua doesn't play well in the cold. And I know the Dolphins won last week. They beat the Jets in 40-degree weather at yada yada. Great. This week is a little different. It's on Monday night, which is fun, prime time. That's cool, but it's against the Steelers. They're not, maybe they're not great, but they're better than the Jets. And the temperatures are supposed to be even colder than what they were last week in New York. We're probably looking at less than 20 degrees as far as the high for that game in Pittsburgh. Tua's going to fold. He does not play well in cold weather. And under 20 degrees is extreme cold weather. Waddle's awesome. I have no doubt that he'll do his thing. But I worry about Tua shrinking in the cold weather, and it's going to be probably bitterly cold in Pittsburgh on Monday night. So because Olave gets to play in the Dome, I think that's where I go. I think that's what I prefer. Olave in the Dome with no weather concerns. And Tyler Shuck hasn't been looking too bad. Olave. And I would play Olave all over all of those other names as well. Myers being the only one that's close. But I think I would play Olave. Rico or Ladd? Rico. It's a great matchup. Excellent matchup. I know that, he split work basically down the middle the last time we saw the Panthers back in Week 13. But I would expect that Rico's role isn't going anywhere. He's a good player. It's a good matchup against the Saints. Ladd, I like Ladd, but, Justin Herbert, he's a gamer. That's not, but I think, the passing attack for the Chargers is hindered right now because I think Herbert's in a lot of pain dealing with this hand injury, and it's affecting his play. Ladd only caught one pass He had one catch on Monday night. Now they got to go on the road in a tough spot to Kansas City. I mean, I think they'll be fine. I just think the ceiling is lower. I would say Rico. I would say Rico. I got a super from Aaron. Appreciate that, Aaron. Thank you for the support. JMO or Michael Wilson for the highest upside? The upside is JMO. I I want to play both of these guys, but if you can only play one, the upside play is JMO. Michael Wilson has been an absolute baller without Marvin Harrison this year, and Marv is out once again. The difference between these two guys, who, again, I would love to play every week if I could, is that Michael Wilson is in a brutal matchup against the Houston Texans, and the Cardinals are not that good. The Lions are playing a huge game on the road against the LA Rams, and there could be a ton of points scored in that game. It'll be a much more competitive game, most likely, than Houston, Arizona. I expect a back-and-forth game between two good teams, and that means that, I expect the offense to step up to the challenge. And JMO being a big part of that, because he's been a huge part of the Lions' offense over the past couple of weeks, and I don't see any reason for that to not to continue. All of the targets are going to Amon-Ra and JMO, with Sam Laporta down for the count, out for the year, and David Montgomery's role has diminished. JMO for the ceiling. Michael Wilson should have a solid floor, but I appreciate that you specified that you are looking for upside in this matchup. That answer will almost always be JMO when he is involved. We know what he can do as a big-time playmaker, and again, this could be an incredibly high-scoring affair between the Rams and the Lions. The Rams are one of the best teams in football, and they're at home. They expect to win that game. The Lions are coming in pretty desperate, right? They're fighting to stay in the playoff race. They need to get the ball to their best players over and over again. That's JMO. Wilson should come through with volume, but JMO has the upside of being attached to a good offense in what should be a competitive game. JMO. That being said, I would love to play both. Appreciate the super, Aaron. Thank you so much. Let me know if you need any more thoughts on that, but I think I'm definitively on the JMO side as much as I like Michael Wilson tomorrow. I like Michael Wilson, but I really like JMO. Dak or Mariota? I mean, Dak. I think it has to be Dak, right? I mean, he's good. He has CeeDee Lamb tomorrow. CeeDee Lamb's not going to miss any time after picking up the concussion on Thursday night. I mean, they're at home. They have the best they have the best passing attack in football with CD and Pickens. It's not a great matchup by the numbers, but the Cowboys' passing attack is good enough to neutralize tougher matchups, especially when they're at home. Mariota is a solid streamer, but Dak is an upper echelon starting quarterback, and with the passing volume that he gets, I think that makes him a safer play while still having a very good ceiling. Mariota is a solid option, but Dak is the better, safer option. Wilson, Tet, Jennings, pick 2. Wilson for sure. I'm bullish on Michael Wilson this week. I know it's a brutal matchup, but we can't bench that production. We just can't. Not after what he has done for the past few weeks without Marv. And once again, there's no Marv. And I trust that the volume will help him come through. The Cardinals can't run the ball. They are not a good running team. They're not going to be a running team for the rest of the season. They're going to have to throw 50, 55, 57, maybe even 60 times per week from here on out, and they've been showing that they're happy to do it. So I think he'll come through with some volume. And then, Jennings has come on strong recently, but Tet is the clear-cut, his team's clear-cut wide receiver 1. Jennings is any given week behind Kittle and McCaffrey in the pecking order. And I know McCaffrey is now on the injury report, but it sounds like he's going to be fine and that he's expected to play. And then Ricky Pearsall is healthy as well, for whatever that's worth. So that muddies the waters a little bit more. So it's not as clear cut that Jennings will get a solid role. Tet should, no matter what, have a solid role as his team's clear cut wide receiver one. Give me Michael Wilson, give me Tet. This is a dynasty question. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you remember, but at the beginning of this season, the Ravens extended Derrick Henry with a 2-year contract. Henry is chasing greatness at this point. He's not just chasing a Super Bowl ring, he's chasing all-time running back records. If he's healthy and still motivated, he has another year on his contract after this one with Baltimore. So yeah, I think he'll be back next year. Like, where is he at? Among the all-timers. He can climb into the top 10 of all-time rushing yards, it looks like, next year. If he hasn't done it already. Yeah, Henry's going to be back. He's chasing all-time greatness. Like, when all is said and done, his numbers will stack up against the best to ever do it. They already do, but he can make it, he can still add to that at a high level. Yes, Henry will be back. I wouldn't worry about any of those other names. I would just hang on to Ali because right now he's a Raven, right? He's still a Raven. I know he's probably going to get replaced. Yeah, he's still on the Ravens. It's totally possible the Ravens draft another running back at some point, maybe even as soon as this draft. Probably not with any significant draft capital, but if they bring in a 4th or 5th round pick, that might be the guy that's, I'm not, at this stage of the season, I'm not worried about names like that. And even further driven to, Derrick Henry's going to play next year. Yeah, I'm sure he's trying to get himself into that, that Mount Rushmore conversation of the all-time running backs, and if he stays healthy, he'll put himself there. So yeah, I think he's back next year. All right, we are at the end of the chat. So there's no wait time right now for any more questions if you guys need anything else. Bobby, I think we'll get the answer to that tomorrow about which Panthers running back is the most trustworthy. I mean, they split opportunities right down the middle in week 13. Chuba had, I think, 19 opportunities, and Rico had 20. Chuba was the better player in week 13, but Rico still got plenty of touches. They were on bye last week, so it's anybody's guess what the split looks like tomorrow. I would expect both guys to have opportunities tomorrow in a great matchup against the Saints. Right now, I do think it's still Rico, but obviously Chuba is the guy that they did pay a solid amount of money to, so they may be motivated to get Chuba as much work as he can handle, but Rico went absolutely nuclear earlier this year. I don't know that you can necessarily just go away from him and what he's doing this year entirely. I think he has to be a part of your game plan as more than just a change of pace guy. Like, he needs to be like an early down guy. Right now, I think it's Rico, but that could change week to week. It might depend on the matchup. It might depend on the roles that they have. If Chuba's the pass-catching back, then I might like Chuba in a matchup more where I think the Panthers will be trailing in that game and therefore throwing the ball. But if I think they'll be playing with a lead in the second half of games, then I might prefer the guy who I think is going to be the runner to chew up clock, and I think that's Rico. So it kind of depends on the situation. It depends on it's going to be probably game script related, and also the hot hand. If one guy is playing better than the other, then that guy might get more opportunities. I do not think that one is set in stone for the rest of the year. Let's see. Dak or Stafford this week. I just got a question about Dak or Mariota. Now it's Dak or Stafford. I advocated for Dak over Mariota, but in this one, I'm going to advocate for Matthew Stafford. Stafford is playing like the MVP of the league right now. I think he's got multiple. How many times has he thrown for multiple touchdowns? I mean, he's having a career year with the Rams right now. He's Devontae Adams is expected to play. He didn't practice this week, but veteran nursing probably like a minor injury. It sounds like he's fine. He also gets to throw the ball to Puka, who is one of the best receivers in the league. It's a good matchup. Probably going to be a lot of points scored in this game. High octane offenses between the Rams and the Lions. That increases the chances of needing more scoring opportunities and needing to stay aggressive on offense. And Stafford, again, he's playing like one of the best quarterbacks in football right now. And he gets to throw the ball to Puka, and he gets to throw the ball to Devontae Adams. And it's a big-time matchup against another good offense of the Detroit Lions. I'm taking Stafford. Dak's a good option. I think Stafford is like a top 3 play. Dak is maybe a top 5 or 6 play. They're both, I would expect strong QB1 performances from both of them. But if I can only pick one, I'm picking the guy that is in the MVP conversation. I'm taking Stafford. This broke an hour ago. I saw it, and I'll bring it up really quickly. Brandon Ayuk placed on the reserved left squad list. He left the team. I mean, I guess that's not surprising. They voided guarantees in his contract, and I think he's now, he has no incentive to play for them. This is going to be an ugly divorce, and Ayuk is not going to. I'll tell you what, for anybody who does play Dynasty, whenever the trade deadline reopens, which is probably not for another couple of weeks, throw a late round pick out there to the person who has Brandon Ayuk if they're like fed up or disgusted with him. Like, take a low risk shot on Brandon Ayuk if you want to. You could throw. I mean, they're probably not gonna. You're not gonna get him for free, but if you could get him for like a late draft pick because the person who has him just doesn't believe in him anymore. I mean, he may be super motivated going into next year, whatever his new team and his new situation is, and he'll be healthy at that point. If you play Dynasty, Ayuk might be worth like a low ball buy low flyer. He's on a school. He was denoted as a left the team designation. That's crazy. You don't see that every year. I'm just not going to work today. That's Brandon Ayuk is currently the guys in from Office Space. I don't like my job. I'm just not going to go to work anymore. I don't like paying taxes. I think I'm going to stop paying those too. That's Brandon Ayuk right now. Let's see. Started a book on Thursday. Okay, that wasn't. He did all right. Tet or Tracy. So I should have said this sooner, but if you're asking a question that has to do with like two different positions, the scoring may help. Like, knowing the scoring situation may help. If it's full PPR, I would probably go Tet. If it's half PPR or standard scoring, I might be more likely to say Tracy. I do think Tet is the safer play in general, so I think it's fine just going him. If it is standard scoring, then maybe the running back. because he will split work with Devin Singletary. I do like the matchup. But I guess Tet has the safer role. Okay. Full PPR, Tet. Half PPR, also Tet. But if it's standard scoring, then I'm fine with playing Tracy. I'll take Tet's wide receiver 1 role in a good matchup, though. That was a good move, dropping Goddard for Jawan Johnson. I feel better about Jawan Johnson tomorrow than I do Dallas Goedert. The target share, the targets are pretty much condensed at this point to Chris Olave and Jawan Johnson for the New Orleans Saints. So that's perfectly fine. The Eagles' passing attack has not been good this year. They have fallen off. It could be bad weather against the Raiders tomorrow. Yeah, I think you're fine there. Jawan Johnson should get, somewhere in the 8, 9, maybe even 10 target range. And then as far as one more wide receiver and one more flex, not Emmanuel Wilson, not even if Jacobs misses, not against the Denver Broncos. Full PPR. I like Olave tomorrow against the Panthers. It's not a great matchup by the numbers, but Olave has been doing very well. I don't trust Devontae Smith right now. He's too the Eagles' offense in general is tough to trust. I like Jaylen Warren, but he splits work with Kenny Gainwell, so he becomes a little bit more volatile. I would take Olave and Terry McLaurin here, especially since it's full PPR. I would lean into the wide receivers. Olave in the dome, no weather concerns, and getting a ton of targets from Tyler Shuck. The matchup is just okay, but the situation is good, and Olave has been playing well. And then I'll take Terry in a great matchup against the Giants. Nothing scary about that. He played well a couple of weeks ago in a tough matchup against Denver with Marcus Mariota as his starting quarterback. So I'm not worried about the fact that Mariota is starting, and Zach Ertz is out. So, we're potentially seeing even more targets go to the wide receivers. McLaurin is the wide receiver 1, so I'm always going to advocate for that over a team's wide receiver 2. So McLaurin over Debo for sure. And given the struggles of the Eagles' offense, McLaurin over Devontae Smith as well. Give me Olave, give me Terry in full PPR to go alongside Nico. Yep. Okay. Once again at the end of the chat. I can continue to hang on just in case there are any other questions. Let me check. I don't know if Crumply Heads is still in here, but I can take a look at it. I can take a look at your lineup while we wait. If anybody misses me while I am currently here, you can absolutely hit me up in Discord between now and the start of kickoff. Definitely don't wait until the last 10, 15 minutes before kickoff. I probably won't see it at that point. But you can join me in Discord between now and tomorrow morning and answer any questions if you would like to. Second link in the description of this live stream. It is a free evergreen invite to join. Crumply Heads, let me look at your lineup if you're in here. I would take Pittman out for something. Probably for Brenton Strange. And I would take Yossi is fine to be in there because T. Higgins is out, so that's fine. I would take out Michael Pittman and play Brenton Strange. That's how far off of the Colts situation that I am. Um, I do not trust the situation. I really don't. If you man, if you want to play Pittman, that is your own call. That is your own decision. I would look to move off of him at almost any means necessary. Um, and Brenton Strange feels like one of those situations. Like, give me like Phillip Rivers has not played a football game in 5 years. And I know that he's a future Hall of Fame quarterback, and he was incredible in his day. He was a damn good quarterback. 5 years is a long time to go without playing football, and he's 44 now. I mean, and they're going against Seattle. That's a brutal, brutal matchup. That's a brutal matchup if Daniel Jones was the starting quarterback. I mean, maybe you start him if that's the situation, but it's not. We're not even getting Riley Leonard. We're getting 44-year-old off the couch Phillip Rivers. And I'm not trying to diss Phillip Rivers. Again, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. But his career ended 5 years ago. I don't trust the Colts wide receivers. I barely trust Jonathan Taylor. Yes, I have time for more questions. I'm just looking at a lineup that was sent to me in Discord. I would probably try to get DeAndre Swift in there. DeAndre Swift for sure over Pittman. Now that I see him. If you want to leave Pittman in over somebody like Yosivach, okay, Crumply Heads, you're here. Okay. I would play DeAndre Swift. And I think I would get Yosivach out of my lineup if you want to play Pittman. But if you want to keep Yosivach in there without T. Higgins, then Pittman is the guy I would take out. I don't trust the wide receivers for Indianapolis given the circumstances. I just don't. If you play Pittman, that's up to you. And if you want to leave him in there, then I guess I'm okay with you leaving him in and taking out Yosivach. But I would get DeAndre Swift in there. It's not a great matchup against Cleveland, but at least they're at home. I'll take the floor play there. I'll take the floor play there over the dart throw that is Yosivach. And I know he's a little bit more interesting without T. Higgins, but yeah, I'm not willing to go that low. Let's see. Let's plan to roll with Dart. Keep those right now. If you have a guy like of Jackson Dart's caliber, I'm not dropping. And I get it. Looking ahead to Week 16, we're all trying to set ourselves up in the event that we can get a win and set ourselves up for next week early. I've done it where I can. I totally get it. I'm not dropping valuable depth running backs right before the week. What if one of the starters gets hurt? Knock on wood, obviously, that doesn't happen. We hope that doesn't happen. But what if it does? Hang on to your running backs. And Jordan Love is probably going to be coming off of a lackluster game, like statistics-wise, against a brutal Broncos secondary. Defense in general. I'm not worried about picking up Love right now. I would rather start Dart probably anyway. No, keep those depth running backs. Doesn't change anything for me, Crumply Heads. Doesn't change anything for me. I would get Swift in there. I would probably get Yosivach out. With Pittman like hanging on by a thread if you decide to play him. But I would get Swift in there for the floor. Pick 3 of the 5. Rico, Devin Neal, Monangai, Waddle, Tet. Tet McMillan for sure. I'll take the wide receiver 1 usage that he gets. And they're playing in the dome. Waddle is too talented to take out of your lineup given these other options. Although I do not like I do not like the fact that it's going to be super cold in Pittsburgh, and that'll potentially hinder Tua's play. Um, not Monangai. Not Monangai. Not against Cleveland. I do like Rico against the Saints. Hmm. Devin Neal's in a decent spot. I would play Waddle, Tet, and Rico. Waddle because he's too talented to leave out of your lineup given these other options. Although I am tempering expectations for Waddle given the situation, given the matchup. But he's been good this year, so we can't ignore that. Tet, good spot against New Orleans in the Dome, and Rico, good matchup against the Saints also in the Dome, and I believe the Panthers are favorites. So if they're winning, Rico should be getting more opportunities. That's where I would go. Devin Neal is interesting. If you want to put him in over Waddle, that's risky, but I understand the sentiment. I would not play Monangai, not given your other options. Yeah, yeah. Tet, Rico, Waddle, I think is where I'm going. Um, next week, you have Baker. They get the Panthers. That's a tough matchup. I mean, we'll see what next week looks like as far as which of these quarterbacks to start. But tentatively, it could be Purdy. Love on the road against Chicago. That's not a bad matchup. Stroud, no. It's a good matchup for Houston, I believe, next week. They're at home, I think, against I think it's a good matchup for them. The Raiders, yeah. But I don't trust Stroud. I don't know. I would say tentatively Purdy. But we gotta play that one by ear. I would probably take Jacoby if Brissett is in this conversation, which I see just down below, or if this is another league, I would probably take Jacoby. They're playing the Atlanta Falcons next week, and we all know Jacoby's going to chuck it 50 plus times because that's how the Cardinals are finishing out this season. They're gonna throw because they can't run. They can't run the ball. So Jacoby is an excellent streamer next week. What's going on, E111? Good to see you. Let's see. Allen, no doubt he stays in. Gibbs, Walker, Wan'Dale, I like. Let's see. Yeah, I think this is fine. Flowers, good matchup against Cincinnati. He's tough to trust, but I guess you got to go with him. I don't love Brian Thomas, but it is a good matchup. And some of these other options are probably not worth throwing in over him. Gibbs, Walker, of course. Ferguson, yeah, as long as he plays. Wan'Dale for sure. Sutton, it's not a great matchup, but I guess I'm fine with leaving him in there. Yeah, I think this is what I would do. I think this is okay. I will say I don't love Brian Thomas. He has had such a disappointing down season. It is a good matchup. Would I play Shakir over him? No, maybe not. Maybe not. I guess Brian Thomas has more upside. Yeah, I think this is okay. I think this is okay. I think I would leave that as is. Brian Thomas has been so. Hopefully, you can get 5 or 75 or something like that just to get a solid floor out of him, and it's a good enough matchup. Yeah, but no, I think that works. Okay, I think that might do it. We are at the end of the chat. Appreciate everyone coming in and hanging out this afternoon. Not too many questions. I mean, a decent amount. Happy to help everybody out, but those playoff lineups may be set for most of you, and that's great. Obviously, best of luck in your matchups tomorrow. Best of luck advancing. I can hang on for another minute or two, but I will be back on Tuesday for Week 16 waivers, the fantasy semifinals. Hopefully, I see a lot of you there. Hopefully, we get some wins. Hopefully, we advance. We move on. And we're playing in the penultimate week of the fantasy season. Obviously, once again, I know I've been saying it all week, but congrats to everybody who did clinch a playoff berth. That is an accomplishment in and of itself, so well done. Obviously, now it's where it really gets real. I know we're all going to be sweating out these matchups tomorrow. Hopefully it works out for everybody. Hopefully things go your way, bounce your way, and hopefully this channel has helped at least a little bit in contributing to making some tough but good lineup calls that helped get some wins over the course of the season. Appreciate you guys, as always, for regularly taking the time to come hang out. Special shout out to my members, as always. I saw Bobby today. I saw Sport Dog. I saw Crumply Heads. I saw E111. Let's see where I think that was it. I think those were all the members that I saw today. Appreciate the support all season long, everybody. And appreciate Aaron for the super. Thank you so much for your support. And everybody, as always, for coming in and hanging out. That's pretty good, E. Well, I know that, so 4 out of 7 made it. That's pretty good. I mean, if you get over half of your teams in the playoffs, that's a successful season. So, I'd say that's pretty well done. If you the more entries you have right now still alive, the higher the chances that you stay in it and, and increase your odds of a championship. And that's what it's all about. Hit me in Discord if you need anything, if you miss me here. Again, second link in the description. Second link in the description of this live stream if you need it. And let's come back next week and talk shop ahead of the fantasy semifinals. Yeah, I would play all 3 of those rookies with tons of confidence. I would play all 3 of those guys with tons of confidence. Okay. I think that'll do it. Appreciate it, everybody. Thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and best of luck in your matchups tomorrow. Well done on getting to the playoffs. Let's advance. Let's advance at least one more week, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks, everybody. Good luck.